Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are a regular here. This is the continuation. Sorry guys. This is the continuation of the Idaho 4 series of readings, and today I'm looking into the Chapin family. So I'm starting with Jim Chapin, Ethan Chapin's father. As I do with every other person, I have to have an in-depth look at anyone who is related or connected to any of the victims in any way, just to make sure I'm doing a thorough investigation and leave no stone unturned. These people may be completely innocent, they have nothing nefarious going on, and the cards will show that if that is the case. However, they may know things and they're not sharing what they know, so let's get into it. I did just want to clear a couple of things up. The last video I did, which was about my connection with Kaylee Gonzalez, it's had such a huge response, and I'm honestly so grateful for all of you who have left comments. And I wasn't expecting it to be that big. It's overwhelming. But I'm sure that Kaylee would be over the moon. I think she definitely is over the moon with the response. She knows people are listening. She knows that things are getting done. But I do want to make it clear a couple of things about that video. I didn't want anyone to think that any fingers were being pointed. For example, it shouldn't be assumed that, for example, that DM or BF are responsible for the unalivings, because I don't think they are. They are not the reason that the unalivings happened. I do still think that there's been a couple of different situations going on at the same time. I do still believe that Ethan and Xana were the first to be unalived, and I think they were unalived probably a couple of hours, maybe even a couple of hours before Kaylee and Maddie. So there's a lot more to be investigated. There's a lot more to be explored. And I will be going back to have further conversations with Kaylee, which of course I will update you on when that happens. But thank you everyone for your engagement. It means a lot to both me and Kaylee. And I'm going to get on with this reading now. And let's see who is Jim Chapin? And what does he know, if he knows anything? So we're starting with disclaimer. Sorry, we're starting with a disclaimer. This is a tarot. It's psychic reading. It is for entertainment purposes only. It is speculation. It's a card reading, guys, so it's open to interpretation. You may interpret the cards in a completely different way than I do, and I encourage you to do so. But nothing I state during this video is factual or of an accusatory nature. So let's get into this. I'm starting with the Oracle decks, as always, and the Clarifying Life Situations deck. This is just to find out about who he is, really, aside from the fact that he lost his son in such a tragic way. This is really to find out who is Jim Chapin. Show me who he is. So, because Kaylee's with me most of the time now, she is here in my ear talking to me while I do this reading. She's just said they are lovely, lovely people. So let's go. I'm going to draw the cards first. The next deck is What Lies Beneath. Getting a hot flush, guys. The next deck is What's the Vibe? And again, I don't know anything about Ethan's family. I mean, I know that they started the Ethan Smile Foundation after his death. I don't really know much else apart from that. I think his parents are together still, and they have been since the day he was born. Quite a rare thing. And that Ethan's one of 3 triplets. I don't actually know if they have any children outside of the triplets. I don't think they do, but I don't know. And this last deck is the Secrets Revealed True Crime Oracle. Let's make some room. Okay, so the first card says adapt and thrive. Luck flows with change. Stay flexible. Embrace shifts and learn from the journey as answers reveal themselves. It's really hard to read. Stupid light background with light writing. I mean, if we're talking about the situation, it does feel that he doesn't feel like he has all the answers, that's for sure. But he does believe the truth will out. The next card says release burdens, embrace clarity and let go of what no longer serves you, allowing new insights to guide your path. I do feel that he was probably consumed with anger to begin with, as I know many of the male parents were, as a first reaction to the unaliving of their child. But he's realised that that isn't productive, and it clouds your it clouds your give me the word. It clouds your clarity. You know, you can't think clearly if you're angry. I do feel, again, and I think it's a natural reaction, that he felt incredibly guilty. That, you know, his job as a parent is to keep your children safe and protect them, and he couldn't do that, and he probably really struggled with that. The next card, a couple of cards are a bit strange, and I'm not sure what to make of them, but the first one is putting on a show. I mean, actually, I think what this is about is he put on a hell of a brave face, probably from day one, for the sake of his family, for the sake of his wife, for the sake of his children. He didn't want anyone to see what he was really going through, so he probably did put on a hell of a show. The next one, red lipstick stains. I'm not entirely sure what this is alluding to. I definitely don't get the feeling that he's done anything questionable. I don't get that feeling from him. I've had this card before, and it immediately led me to feeling like this is something to do with blood stains rather than it's to do with red lipstick. But I don't know how that ties in. It should become clearer when I pull the tarot. I mean, who knows, guys? Maybe he did kind of lose control at some point in the last couple of years. Maybe he sought comfort elsewhere. I don't feel that's happened, but I have to consider it. The next card is trapped, stuck, no options, and unforgiveness. I think there was a part of him that actually wanted to run away from all of this. Almost like the energy of burying your head in the sand, pretend it's not happening. He couldn't get away from it because obviously he's got his family, he's got his wife, his children. There were times he just didn't want to be thinking about it, but he couldn't get away from it. It's hard. It is hard. It changes the dynamic of who you are. It changes the dynamic of your family. It changes how you see people, how they see you. Then we have nurturing, mentorship, wisdom, and giving back. So I think his role as a father was very much that. He was very nurturing. He was very much a mentor for Ethan and the other two. He seems like someone who has got very very intellectual, but amazing at giving advice. Really good storyteller. He's probably had some incredible stories from his own past that you could probably sit and listen to for hours. Very attentive, very caring. You know, it almost gives me the vibe of like the kind of TV, you know, families that you see, and it's just like so unrealistic. You know, like, I don't like mentioning it because unfortunately but you know, like the Cosby Show kind of energy where the parents are so invested in their children. It's just, you know, when you watch it, you're like, God, if only that was reality. It's just unrealistic that no one has that time. But I do feel like they were very much like that. He was a hands-on dad, is what I get. So we've also got misadventure here. I don't think this is anything to do with the case. I think this is showing me that possibly that Ethan was a bit of a thrill seeker, and quite often probably used to have accidents or ended up injured a few times because he was so fearless. And it's kind of the kind of vibe I'm getting from this is that his father, Jim, is thinking, or ended up thinking, oh my goodness, all those times I had sleepless nights because I thought one day Ethan was going to, you know, take it too far, you know, because he was such a thrill seeker, a daredevil, one of these days. And I'd constantly tell him, one of these days it's going to backfire, it's going to go wrong. And he used to worry that one day it would go wrong and he'd be seriously injured or worse. And never did he think in his wildest dreams that this is how he would lose his son. And then we have timeline. So one thing I do actually believe is that the Chapins know the timeline. They know the real timeline of when Ethan and Xana passed. And it's very different to what everyone's being told. It is Ethan's parents that said 2 a.m. was a very dark hour. They know something. How do they know? Interesting, but they know. So, and I've always said the timeline is what people are being told is not at all what happened. And as I said at the beginning of this video, I do believe that Ethan and Xana were the first to be unalived, which was a very separate situation to what happened with Maddie and Kaylee. I also don't believe that Ethan and Xana were unalived at 1122 King Road either. But that's another subject. So let's get into the tarot. Let's have a look at this Adapt and Thrive card. Four of Pentacles. I would say that he is someone who is very vigilant with money, shall we say. Very, very frugal. Nine of Pentacles in reverse. And the Knight of Cups. And again, I don't know their birth signs or dates of birth, but that's not really important. It's interesting because out of everyone I've read for parents wise, he's the first person I've picked up the energy of, you know, it would not feel right for him to gain in any way financially from this situation. It's like, absolutely not. It's wrong. It's wrong. He doesn't want that. You know, he may have had an opportunity to do GoFundMes and God knows what else, as other people have done. And it's just something that turns his stomach, and he does not want to have any part of any financial gain over the death of his son. The Ethan Smile Foundation is different because that is completely charity. That is everything, all of the proceeds go to charity and apprenticeships and things like that, I think. The Knight of Cups. I do feel he's really trying to make something good out of something so terribly tragic. He's really trying to make something good from this. Let's have a look at release burdens. Tower in reverse. And the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So he rejected, there was some sort of offer of money. That could come in any form, guys. It could be he was offered money to sell his story. Could have been from journalists. It could have been from, I mean, I have no idea, but he definitely rejected it. And he tries to keep himself away from the drama, really. So I just had Kaylee saying to me that Ethan told her the funniest story once about a time when his family went to the circus. I don't know what that's about, but apparently it was very funny. We've also got the Seven of Pentacles. I think he has been approached within the last couple of years just regarding a couple of opportunities which actually would have been, you know, we're not talking about him profiting from the death of his son, but more that the death of his son could have actually, his experience of the death of his son could have helped other people. But he would have earned money from that, and he did consider it. I don't know what this was. So let's see this putting on a show. Six of Wands. Yeah. The Two of Wands. And the Four of Wands. So yeah, it's like, I mean, I think the two of them together, him and his wife, were probably the driving force, and very much a team. But, you know, he was just trying to show everyone that we can get through this. We stay together. We stay strong. It's not going to be easy. We keep going. We don't give up. The Two of Wands keep talking. Communication is key. We must keep talking to each other. We must keep moving forward. We must keep making plans. We shouldn't allow this to stop us doing what we would have done. It's all that kind of thing. The Four of Wands is how their family sticks together, you know. It's like such a strong family unit. And there's very little that could tear that apart, if anything. So let's find out what this red lipstick stains is all about. Five of Cups in reverse. The Three of Pentacles in reverse. And the Page of Cups in reverse. I mean, I think if anything's happened here, I think it's something probably nothing major. But I do think he might have ended up doing something out of character, like going to a strip club or something, you know. I don't think it would have gone any further than that. But whatever he did, he so regrets it. It's like it's the burden of guilt he carries with that is just horrendous. People do really strange things when they're grieving. They do act out of character. They do things to get away. Like I said, that feeling that he wanted to get away and he couldn't get away because he was constantly surrounded by it and constantly having to put on this kind of performance. And there would have been times when he just wanted to dissolve, you know, and he couldn't because he didn't want his family. His family had to see him as this rock. So yeah, there's huge regret over whatever this was. The Two of Pentacles, not the Three of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles in reverse. I mean, I think he struggled whether to share it, whether to reveal it. I think he would have done. It's not clear that he did or he didn't. But the overriding feeling here with the Page of Cups in reverse is that he believed that Ethan would have been so ashamed of him, and maybe that was the worst thing about it. It wasn't really about how his wife would have felt. It was more about what his son would have thought of him, which is also really sad. The Trapped card, Stuck, No Options, Unforgiveness. Clarified by the Six of Pentacles. The Eight of Cups. And Two of Cups in reverse. I think it would test anyone's marriage. I think it has tested the marriage to a certain extent. It's hard. It's so hard to keep that kind of, it is a pretense in a way, to keep that pretense going. Even between each other, it's a case of, I must not show my weakness to my wife. She's doing the same. I must not show my weakness to my husband. You can't keep that up. You need to grieve. You need to let it out, you know. If you've got a strong marriage, you should be able to do that openly with the person you love. Because it's really damaging. And we've got the Eight of Cups here as well, which means that at some point he might have walked out the door because he just couldn't take it anymore. Not because anyone had done anything wrong, but I do feel that at some point there may have been a sort of mini separation going on here. in the early days. We've got the Two of Cups in reverse, which shows that there was some kind of rift going on. Something had to give, but I don't think, I think, well, clearly they, it didn't last. They came back together. Maybe it was Stacey that was the one that walked out. I don't know, but there was something temporarily going on here where there was issues, there was problems, they were having difficulty just between the two of them. The next card, nurturing, mentorship, wisdom and giving back, clarified by the Six of Cups. The Fool in reverse, goodness, and the Five of Pentacles in reverse. So yeah, this is him going back over memories of, how he's raised Ethan, the advice he's given him, the chats he's had with him in the past. Really nice memories. The Fool in reverse, which is about Ethan's constant need to take risks and be a daredevil and thrill seeking, and he's like, be sensible. You're not immortal. Look after yourself. You're fragile. All of that. The Five of Pentacles in reverse. It's how much he misses him. It's almost like Ethan was a part of him that he'll never get back. Part of his personality's gone. Now, I'm not saying he had a stronger relationship with Ethan over the other two. I'm not saying that. It is weird though, even though they're triplets. I've had a look at their Instagram, and you just kind of immediately, if you didn't know they were triplets, you'd think that Ethan was the eldest. I mean, he might be by minutes, obviously, but you'd think that, I don't know, Ethan just came across as the older brother. So misadventure, constantly getting into scrapes and accidents, even as a child, clarified by strength, judgment in reverse, Page of Wands in reverse. Yeah, he thought he was way stronger than he was. He was indestructible, but he was also very clumsy. His judgment was terrible, is what I'm getting here. Which is, can you imagine how frightening that must be for a parent when your child has no sense of, judgment? It's like, hey, I can jump off this wall because it's only however tall, and you're like, no, if you jump off that wall, you're going to break your neck. It's almost like that. Like he didn't have any sense of can't think of the word. I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say. Very active child, but that never really, it was like that all the way up to the day he passed. Timeline, here we go. So we've got the Two of Swords in reverse. How interesting. 2 a.m. The Eight of Pentacles in reverse. And the Magician. So that Eight of Pentacles, the first things I'm getting is work backwards. That's the first two words I got, came into my head, was work backwards. I don't know what that means. But it means work it out for yourself, work backwards. But I don't know what it is I'm working out. The Magician is obvious about the fact that law enforcement and lawyers and whoever are trying to manipulate the timeline to fit their narrative. It's interesting because I do remember in the early days there was this huge question mark about where Ethan and Xana were. There was like a huge missing chunk of time. They knew where everyone else was, but they had no proof of where Ethan and Xana were between certain times, which I think is very telling. Very telling. So let's just pull a couple more clarifying cards. Let's clarify. Let's clarify this timeline. How do Ethan's parents know that something happened at 2 a.m? Please tell me. Whoa. So I've just been given a flash of Xana actually contacting I don't know if she contacted Hunter or if she contacted Ethan's mum and dad. I don't know. But absolutely distraught because, and she's screaming, they've taken him, they've taken him. Like he was kidnapped, like he was taken somewhere. Six of Pentacles reversed. Seven of Pentacles. Knight of Cups. Second time we've had the Knight of Cups. I can't remember Ethan's birth sign. I had it written down. I had it written down, but God knows where. Is he a water sign? I don't know, guys. Doesn't really matter. The fact that it's come up twice seems significant. The Fool. And the Two of Wands. don't know what was going on here, but if it's true what I've just been given, that they did receive some sort of communication from Xana panicking because someone had taken him, or some people had taken him, they had to think very carefully about what to do next. It was a very precarious situation. It feels like one of those situations where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I'm going to finish this with a couple more of these true crime oracles. I'm going to split this deck because it's way too big. I think it would have been Stacey. For some reason, I'm getting it would have been Stacey that took this call. And her immediate reaction would have been to do something, you know. We have to do something. We have to get over there. We have to... But it would have been Jim that just calmed everything down and said, we need to think about this. We need to think about this carefully. We need to do the right thing and not make this situation worse. Backyard. Okay. And also bank records. So backyard to me is about whatever the point being is that they didn't want it brought to their backyard. They didn't want it, you know, they didn't want this to... It sounds terrible, but I suppose it's more about putting their other children in danger as well. They didn't want to do that. You know, it's bad enough that Ethan was caught up with something, but they definitely didn't want to make it worse and then endanger their other children as well. Bank records. And children. Let me just show you these cards I didn't show you. So that's backyard. Bank records. And children. Figure out what is bank records about. Something about a proof of a transaction. What did Ethan do? Karmic connection. There's something here that Ethan did. I mean, there has to be a reason why this happened in the first place. And it's connected to bank records. Something on his bank records, which proved he did something. daughter. Whose daughter? I don't believe this is about Maisie. Video, audio, surveillance. This is weird. This is weird, but I don't understand how this relates to Jim. I don't know what he did or does for a living. Something here. There is something here about in Ethan's bank records. There's almost like proof. Somehow there's proof in his bank records of the timeline. And there's audio and there's video and audio surveillance of him, which is being hidden, it's being kept. I don't know what the daughter is about. What's the daughter about? Did he make a transaction to his sister? Or I mean, it must have been, because we're talking about daughter here, and it must be Jim's daughter. But I don't understand how that would be proof that of the timeline of that night. I suppose it could prove where he was. It's interesting, guys. There's definitely something here. Like I said, the biggest thing with the Chapins is how did they know? And from what I've got, that's what I got. They knew because they received a frantic phone call from, I presume, Xana. Yeah, I mean, I am going to be revisiting all of the victims and doing readings on them again at some point. Just to find out what else is going on. And also their energy will be different now compared to when I did them last time. They were very... People like Ethan... I think Xana was okay. I can't remember. But Ethan was quite reserved, quite quiet. Xana was more, from memory, more concerned about Ethan in her reading. Maddie, I think Maddie was quite communicative, but nowhere near as communicative as Kaylee. But then, you know, this spirit connect with people for certain reasons. Because they have a better connection with some people over others, so that might be why. But anyway, guys, if you are interested in finding out about a private reading with me, please just reach out to me at revelationtarotgb@gmail.com, revelationtarotgb@gmail.com. I do have a few spaces left this month, but you can book as far as ahead as you'd like. You do get my audio guided meditation to help you meet your spirit guides, which is an audio digital download free of charge with your booking. And I would love to meet you. So, but thank you guys. Thank you as always. Thank you for all of your support. I'm humbled every single day by the amount of people that are, you know, supporting what I do. And yeah, let's just hope that all of this does come to something and it actually has an impact and makes a difference to help justice be seen to be served. Thank you guys for your love, your support, your encouragement and your engagement, which I return to you tenfold, and I will see you next time. Enjoy the journey.